All right, welcome. Anyone joining us? We are having fun, as Chad has said. We are at session 999 of Jambalo Games, which is nuts. There's a paid pro games that I've gotten to run, which is really exciting. So, uh, and this Monday night being another one of the first few, I think second, that came to fruition. So we are continuing the tale that is now in Isirira, off on a far-off island in Broken Bay, almost at the edge of Exandria, where it seems that a culture of giants has sprung up and is welcoming, apparently, a long lost daughter, Esme herself, escorted by her mighty friends, who has come here originally seeking to exonerate her mother and has found a father as well, and has been taken up in much of the pomp and circumstance. And we will see what happens tonight as some mysteries were revealed. And if any of you sharp-eyed people want a little bit more info, you can always check out this last Wednesday's as a little bit of more light onto the situation might have been shown as well. But where we are tonight, we have Esme having been introduced and escorted down to the floor where some people were dancing, trying to make other information, and herself was making her way towards where she believes her father is sitting, large and looming over all. And remember, you can always give some of those sweet, sweet channel points out to our people. They would greatly appreciate it. But with that, we will start for tonight. So, the dancing is moving about in great pomp. People have been trying to dance with Esme, whom she's talked to politely, but moved on closer and closer to the main person she's here to see, as she has been summoned. I did want to give a chance for anybody to do anything before we move on with that particular piece.
Nope.
Yeah, I've tried sleuthing as best I can. Can't do anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to be in the area. I mean, it's not that good of a party.
Yeah, moving up to where that is happening. All of you who would like to be near there. And then, all at once, a hand is waved as the music is brought to an abrupt end. And looming large is a gentleman about 30 foot tall who greets everyone. Large and blue skinned, you can see lightning seems to course around his fingertips and head as he proudly declares, "Welcome, my guests and all, to welcome home the honored guest of this evening, my daughter." And as he says this, the crowd parts, revealing Esme with at least 20 foot of clear floor around her now, standing alone. And a path immediately opens up. It says, "Esme." And next to him, you see the one some of you know as Awakener, whom Esme knows as Mother. And as he walks with her, he begins to shrink in size until he's about a foot taller than Esme. And his tiefling like horns seem to appear once more as there's some applause and he waves it down. And he begins walking. Do you stay where you are, Esme? Or do you go to greet them?
Were they walking to me, or were?
Mhm. Walking directly towards you.
I mean, yeah, I'll walk toward them.
To the parted crowd. You walk and he takes your hands in his. I'm glad you made it safely.
So I think Esme is just like wide-eyed and can barely form words, and she's just like smiling and just doesn't quite seem to be there. And she doesn't quite register that he said anything. And as soon as she realizes that there's this pause that she's supposed to speak, she says, I'm Esme.
Yes. And as I look upon you, I see my daughter. There's this murmur goes to the crowd. He squeezes your wrists.
Father, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you. Well, you enjoy yourself. You will and your friends will have time with your mother and I soon after this. This is for you to meet, well, people whom this may be a home or home away from home or a place you visit, hopefully often.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, oh. Before, I almost forgot. And he snaps his fingers, and this large 10-foot chest is brought out. He touches it, and it shrinks in size to be about 4 to 5 feet. He opens it up. A gift.
Oh, and she will accept it.
He opens the chest, and as he lifts out this, what looks like this oddly shaped staff almost, that has been wrapped very carefully in what looks like blue and red silk. There is instant murmurs and gasps that go around. People gossiping, saying a few things. Like from where you are, Esme, you cannot hear them.
How about some of us in the crowds? Are we hearing any names, any other things?
What's everyone's passive perception?
20.
13.
22.
22.
Okay.
12.
That-
23.
Okay. I think everyone but Charlie and Goodnight, then I think, like just the crowd, you get a little bit of this. You get the general gist of all mixed with some disapproval, I would say. All you guys get the idea of they just mentioned the holy bow. The rest of you, but Esme, hear things such as, is she a warrior? A champion? What is his plot? Has he brought in her and soldiers? Do you think that means he means to invade? And mostly some fear of whether this means an invasion or a ruling or an increasing of his own power. He unwraps it and he reveals an ivory longbow. You can see inscribed with giant runes, runes that are in giant, and they're entwined with gilded engravings of wheat stalks and deer antlers. He presents it for you.
It's gorgeous. And she kind of leans in a bit. What is it?
It's a longbow, my darling.
Oh, right. I didn't know if it had a name.
Oh, sorry. We call it the Healing Hearth.
I like that.
I hoped you would. You can certainly take down enemies with this, but you can also heal those within your sight. Just don't accidentally hit an enemy when you mean to hit a friend, or vice versa.
Right. Exactly. Thank you. I didn't know we were exchanging gifts.
Oh, please. This is more. This part is important. And he also gives you a satchel to put it on as he kind of looks at your dress and frowns a second, snaps his fingers again, and you see a guard come in who's about 9 feet tall and takes the bow. I will attend her, my liege. Perfect. Now, this is a chance for all of you to meet her, please. And he's like, to please enjoy the party, enjoy the festivities. They're all on the family. Sharing our joy today. And he raises a glass, and everyone else raises the glass high, and there's applause. As anything anyone wants to do?
Cover my ears. That's a thunderstorm in this whole room. All the
Yeah.
giants clapping.
Absolutely. And then,
Anyone totally disgusted by this? Like, who is like the people? People who are like being very openly like.
make an insight check.
Yeah, let's do that. New dice today. Let's see which one I use. Okay, that one's covered in blood, and that's a 15.
Part of the ones that were getting their own food, there's a mixture. You thought first you saw them with disgust, but it has turned to hushed whispers and almost like a plotting. And again, some of the rumors you get just in this moment, you hear he has named her but not recognized her. What's he playing at? Does he actually seek to truly make her an heir? And that there's rumors that of what type of game of chess essentially this man is playing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has changed in expectation.
I think I remember there's a psychic link between some of us. And Azok is just going to say, well, that clearly changed the temperature of the room. People are reacting in all sorts of ways to this.
Let's see. If you had the 22 perception, you see there are a few who seem to have more used weapons than ornamental that you think might have been ready to challenge Esme to some type of duel, who have kind of backed off. With that, the music begins and the dancing resumes, and more people than you can count, Esme, kind of begin flooding you. And
Uh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
During that whole exchange, was that like a pause and all the celebration and everyone like stopped and paid attention, or was
Yes.
other conversations?
It was a pause.
It was a straight pause. Okay. I guess Critters would make his way over if the party is like separating at all. He would make his way over to, like to eavesdrop in on some of those conversations to those that had brought weapons. Like, do they? Who would like be more worried to see if they're concerned or that they're still going to challenge or?
Yeah. I think for this, you can listen easy enough. Give me a stealth check.
26.
Very nice. What you hear is one particular woman. Wait. If he had named her an heir, we could have challenged. Is this good? The one she's talking to go, no, darling, not at all. With the presentation of the hearth, I think he aims to have her claim it by right of challenge, of act. But then she would be exactly. She wouldn't be able to be challenged without declaring war. If it was my guess, he's already arranged for her to be successful. He's bloodthirsty and a barbarian, whether on the field or in court. They nod, but as of now, right? She's not up for challenge because she's simply she's only blood, not declared precisely. Enough to be beheaded to attack, but not enough honor to challenge. They nod, and that's essentially what you get there.
Okay. I think that's all I had for right now. Critters would bring that back to the group, like, or if there's a psychic link, he would be sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Esme,
Yeah.
Charlie's gonna speak to the link. I do think there's an opportunity for power here, if that's something you desire. A rare opportunity. Is that something you want?
What?
Well, your father could name you if you want him to.
My father just met me. He doesn't. I mean, even if. I mean, how could he? I mean, I'm not a. You know. He just gave me a gift. That's all.
I think Charlie's right, though, Esme. From everything we've seen so far, I think he does plan, and from what Critters overheard, to do something special for you and give you possibly the kingdom. I mean, normally parents that own a kingdom have to pass it down to their next sire, their bloodline. You would fall into that place. Even if you don't want it, you are their blood.
Well, I mean, it's a lot to take in. It's a whole lot to take in.
Maybe things will clear up at dinner.
Maybe.
If you were asked to stay here and rule here, what would you do?
Well, I mean, if my father loved me that much, I mean, if that's what he wanted, I mean, that's it's a conversation I haven't even had with him. These are all hypothetical questions.
But you might want to give a little thought to him before he brings it up with you, so you have a good idea to how to answer him. I don't know how he is, but from what people say about him, he seems to be... what's the word I'm looking for? Not temperamental, but like
Overzealous?
Yes, overzealous. And he's having a chance, he gets to spend finally that time with his daughter and give her everything he's always wanted to. So just be careful with the words you say back to him, I think.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'll be careful, of course. It's something to think about, I guess. But he hasn't. I mean, again, this is all hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
We just want you to have everything you want, with as few strings attached.
Right. Of course. And I think that's a very wise idea. So if it comes to that, I'll answer truthfully. And we'll see what happens.
While that's going on, could Goodnight be standing near Esme, actively searching for any signs that someone might mean her harm?
Sure. Give me an insight check.
Alright. That will be... Ooh. 25.
Hmm. 25. There are tons of people who you think are probably thinking negative things about Esme, who are attempting to potentially plot or the other, but you don't pick up anyone who you feel like is going to be a physical threat tonight. There's not those movements, even among staff. Any that you even get a sense of seem to not even be able to get close. So, yeah, you think mixture of security being maybe very good here versus just with what that would mean. Feel like it's pretty good.
And Goodnight says, in the mine, Mother, we're probably safe for tonight, but do me a favor and whenever you leave here, make sure you've got plenty of us nearby. There's a large amount of people in here that don't seem very happy that you're here. Obviously, your parents are enthused you're here, but I think there's some people that might mean you harm. And don't worry. I mean, as long as I'm around, I won't let anything happen. And I know you're quite fearsome yourself, but I'm just worried, and be careful.
What do you mean people aren't happy I'm here?
Like, people want you dead.
Why? Is it because of what I'm wearing?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm just piecing it together, but I think they find you as a threat or a potential line of succession to the king, and people are power hungry. Guys, am I catching that right? I know you guys are hearing more of the conversation than I am. I'm more looking at the people, but
If it makes you feel better, Esme, I don't think it's personal. I think it's just business.
It's business, huh? It's business, Sonny. It's not personal. Strictly business.
Why does it feel personal then?
Marvelous is moving around to the different groups and listening and kind of siding with them a little bit, and then we'll start just embellishing to the nth degree all the exploits and putting, Esme at the center with her power and everything that is all, in everything that we've had, and just keep telling the story. And I'm so glad we did not do this tonight. Formidable, and just kind of keep rolling that through, and just kind of just nonchalantly moving through the crowds.
Yeah, give me a perception check. I mean, a deception.
Sean's going to help out and has foreseen this. Marvelous, you get a 19 on the dice, so you can add whatever you want to it.
So that's a 30.
Perfect.
Interesting. So, those of you paying attention, things begin to shift as Marvelous is moving about, spreading these to more hushed and going from maybe we need to do something for some, or we're definitely going to need to plan to do something. But also the number of people who seem to be on this other side you feel like more people are being won over to supporting whatever the king is going to do with Esme. More like maybe she is worthy. So while some being run over, those who are not are definitely now viewing her more as a actual threat versus potentially just some nuisance.
Did Marvelous pick up any key players in this?
So looking around, yeah, go to my chart. Okay, so
And just up for you, Matt, the intent was to really weed out who was entrenched with doing something versus who was on the would flip flop.
Right. Yeah, and you flip flopped a bunch over, but I would say I'll give you. There are two that seem to have dug their feet in. One is Maribel Vung. She seems to be. It's interesting. She has a mixture of what looks like stone and almost molten lava skin in occasional places. And her dress, though, and she is about 15 feet tall, and her dress itself, while beautiful, seems to actually have various heads of horrific monsters attached as a thing of her kills, and specifically 3 heads that appear humanoid, like a kind of human size, until you realize that they are actually shrunken giant heads that she is wearing around her belt. The other one is Dev Trincad. He actually is more 9. He's 9 feet tall, more of the giant kin variety, and he is constantly surrounded. He's actually wearing what looks like skins of animals and furs, as is his entire entourage. They have ornamental spears, but none of the niceties. Very tribal, and you see that where others are having separate food brought out to them to, like, if they're feeling maybe they were getting poisoned or something, he is only eating what seems to be dried meat and fruits and drinking from a wineskin. As all his people.
So through the mind link, I'll move away from those people, and I'll share that information with the group. That those are two that you need to keep tabs on.
Throughout the night, I don't know if it's possible, but Goodnight would like to be that guy that just is right back next to Esme. That, like, if you've ever seen like a special forces people, they just, like, you're just around them, and like if you mean them harm, you turn the other way. So he's just like trying to like exude as an intimidating a presence to make anyone think twice about anything.
Yeah, like
Even
putting your hand on people's chests, to like, please don't come closer. Stuff like that, or
Well,
just
not even that, just in general, like just one of those if looks could kill, like whenever people come by, to just look at them and just make them have a second guess and try and walk away.
bless you.
If possible.
Okay, just try and intimidate them around.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me an intimidation check.
Alright. Oh, now it happens when it really doesn't matter. That's a natural 20 for a dirty 30.
I think, yeah, just given that idea of like almost like this woman is protected. It's kind of the vibe where this person is being protected. Is very good. And in the same way you get people taking that in and potentially shutting down a plot or two. It's hard to totally tell, but people are noticing. They get it.
Well, the other part of his goal is if anyone does make an attempt, he's hoping that it will be like a split part attempt to possibly divert some forces.
Sure.
Because they would be worried about him as well. So if they'd separate them and try and take them both out, then it's easier than just going after Mother Esme while she's alone. More or less what he's trying to help some.
100%. Anything else somebody wants to do?
During the entire mind chat thing, so that way it didn't look like we were just the crazy group that we just stare at each other. Critters is doing like the mimic of our chats, of just random chats going on, like random questions that aren't being fully answered or answered by voices that don't match the people here, just to give an ambiance to us of just staring at each other.
I gotcha. Cool. I like laying that groundwork. Or yeah, give me a deception.
I don't even know what my deception is. What? Let me look that up real quick. Where are you? Okay. That's a 7.
Yeah. Okay. It goes about. It's hard to say exactly what it does. Anything else anyone wants to accomplish here? All right. I think one thing you do notice is this. One room that goes about too is there is a, especially as Goodnight keeps making this association known, this idea of of talking about an alliance between the platinum and the mother of all dragons. This idea of what they see to be these two patron entities going, that is causing a lot of interesting talk as well, and what exactly that is about. And other than that, the evening goes, and there is wine dining, more dances, more of what you've already experienced, Esme, of just people saying, "Oh, you can call on us. Be sure," those types of things. If there's nothing else, the night would end. Then you'd be invited to the back chamber or back dining hall to have the dinner with the king and queen.
Okay. So yeah, I'll be leading us back there.
Perfect. You have noticed at one point your father had retaken his giant form as he was talking with others, and stayed that way most of the party. But back after things have been moved, and some were, saying they can escort you to your room, but saying no, you have another audience, and you go, of course. You were brought back from the main, essentially, event hall to separate from the royalty, separate from where your father and mother go, but it's to a room with only about a 15-foot ceiling, and a table that is carved, not overly oiled, but almost looks like not just carved, but is in the process of being carved. A lot of you are somewhat familiar and have seen people working in, the markets. It looks recent, and you can tell that this seems to have actually been from a large single tree trunk. The table looks pretty good. The really legs are only on one half currently. The rest is more just like a block of wood. But the half that's there has been curved and done beautifully. And you, Esme, you can pick up both on the legs and on what is so far designed in the one part of the table at the top of it is imagery that seems to ring with the song of Awakener that you've heard. You see your Abbey, beautifully rendered. See Isira. See what looks like depictions of the idea of the working mother. And there's exploits of your mom and dad as well, but you are worked into this table. It is unfinished, both in the literal and more other sense. And all of you are given chairs, two that seem to be in a process. Mostly hunks of wood with a back that had been carved from a trunk. Size for you, and your father and mother walk in, Esme. Both tiefling. And on one end of the room, of this very simple room, there are some servants with what look like luxurious meals and foods and well-cooked things. In the center, there's fruits and some selection of meats. There's several bottles of ale. On the wall, there's bottles of wine that look very fine. And on the table, there's waters and juices. And your mother and father come in, and they are not in their dresses or anything else, but in almost traveler's clothes, comfortable, loose. And the servants are here, but no guards, as your mother sits on one side, closest to the part that's blocked, more of a block of wood, and your father sits opposite her. And you all can sit however you wish.
So yeah, I think Esme feels very overdressed for this occasion. She would want to sit kind of midway between them.
They're opposite each other, so if you did midway, you'd sit at the head of the table.
Okay, that's what she'll do.
Okay. So everyone else will be split between you and mom or you and dad.
Shauna's gonna sit closer to Esme.
Goodnight would sit next to Dad or Esme's father. Well, that's assuming that that would put Esme within the 10-foot aura he has, if needed.
That's fine. I'm not going to worry about it too much here. So yeah, sure. That's a big deal. Yeah, you all can see how you sit perfectly, and
is there a food that's set out right now, or is it all being prepared?
Yes. So there's food on the table that I talked about, and the other food is set out on the side.
Okay.
So basically, the idea is like fancier type of things is on the side, and then like kind of more almost stuff you'd find at a tavern is in the center. There's even just like a big pot of soup that people can take out, and even on the table itself, there's selection of what look like either wooden or hard metal bowls, and then ornate glass next to it. It's kind of a choice almost. And one you know as Awakener speaks up as she says, I don't want anyone to feel awkward in any way here. Often we just dress and eat like we feel. And so we invite you to do the same. Join us a meal, eat from the center, or if you'd like, she points and you see there's a small bell next to your place. Ring, and anything you see will be brought to you.
Esme would be very deliberate in choosing items that her parents are choosing. She's
Okay.
used to eating bread and water, and she's kind of waiting to see what they get.
Absolutely. If you focus on them, they will take ale. Specifically, they both will drink dark ale, and your father goes towards what looks like some type of game bird. You're not sure what, along with essentially root vegetables. And there doesn't seem to be any spice on them. He just puts salt on it. Kind of starts digging in. Your mother with the ale will go. She cuts off some, like, essentially what looks like more like a turkey, raised finer meat, but still not overly well prepared. With what looks like cranberries mixed with like a essentially sweet potato.
So she will grab a portion of the bird, mouthing sorry to critters, and then take some of the vegetables. She also deliberately puts salt on it, just like her father did. Then she'll also add a small portion of the cranberries as well, kind of on the other side of her plate. And she is going for the dark ale. And it's been a while since she tasted alcohol. So I don't know how this is going to go.
Nice.
Can I make some kind of check to see what kind of game bird it is? Because
it generally seems like just like a large fort. Like it could either be probably like a duck.
okay,
Type of duck is it's kind of more. Well, I would say very specifically. This would be you would be able to tell this seems to be an extremely large goose. Probably maybe like it is still like, even though it's meant to be humble, it's still very large. Like just the meat part itself looks like it's probably 30 pounds.
Azok's taking a leg from this giant goose and is fumbling around the goose egg. I think that we found a session or two ago. It's just like, now I know where that came from.
But yeah, the golden goose.
Yep. It's also probably a sight to see that Eladrin, that by looks Azok is, but like his mannerisms, like how he eats, where he's like engorging in food, is very much like the spirit of the half-orc he used to be. So he's just like grabbing things with his hands, biting, like kind of like ripping stuff up with his teeth.
Absolutely. And
the bugs that critters brought in that's sitting around in the probes creep out on the floor underneath the table towards the fixings that are falling on the floor from Azok. Keep a nice and clean floor for them. So
love it.
they will not show themselves above any table at all or anything above the chairs. They're sticking to the floor. Critters is just going to go for any leafy greens type stuff that they offer.
You guys are all so picky.
Yeah.
Charlie's can eat whatever looks most expensive.
So you would ring the bell, and then they give you extremely fine wine and very like multi-layered. Someone like a chef has prepared these meals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie still sends it back like she's super picky.
Oh man.
And they just smile, and they don't. It's interesting. You get the idea that neither of them, even seem to be judging at all. Like they're not paying attention really to what anyone's doing with the food. And
Okay.
as if you can say what you like if you feel like it is something for this. But the Awakener will speak and say, "Well, all of you are our guests, and for we are here to chat, answer questions, or we don't want to direct things until or if you, Esme, or any of you are ready. So we leave it to all of you."
Okay. Well, I do have a question. I'm still not. I mean, you sort of answered this, but I'm still not entirely sure why I was left at the convent.
Notice, as she had said this and Ewan began asking, the servants moved quickly around, left like essentially seconds of any food any of you had asked for, including extra bottles of wine, and have exited the room before Esme had finished her question. And there we go.
So we're alone. It's just us and them.
Yes.
Okay.
And Father looks down and she looks at you. We were in the middle of wars here on the islands. And given what it was likely that we were to do what your father might have been trying to do, if we had failed, your life would have been forfeit. When there was movements here to overtake and overthrow the leadership, and if you fail in something like that, they make sure that you and all those related to you, all who come from you, are wiped so that there is no revenge. So when I knew I was with you, your father played an awful trick. And he nods. I tricked her into a portal. She ended up on Wildmount with some friends. I told her, survive and take care of our daughter. She nods and says, and? Quite simply, Esme, I thought about it very hard. And I came to the conclusion, if you wish to hate me, you may. if he were to die because I was watching you and raising you, I don't think I could forgive myself or you. And I didn't want to hate my daughter. And I realized that possibly that meant I did what I gave you, and then I traveled, and after, when you were ready, I returned to your father's side.
But the war ended.
It did, but the father speaks. Part of our victory at the time was my naming. Everything we did, the easy acceptance of it, had to do with the fact that we had no heirs. No clan, you could say. And he looks at your mother and she nods. Your mother had sustained an injury in battle that was well known and would not be able to bear a child. So no legitimate clan would come from us. So there's not an easy way to tell your daughter that you chose a peace or a government over them. So yes.
But you could have. You could have just let me know that you were alive.
She speaks. Maybe. Esme, I don't have those answers for you because I and your father wrestled with all of that every night. And we made the decisions we made. And we ultimately both had decided that we had made those decisions. And it was best to see them through. Yeah. Go ahead.
My friends had questions about the collars.
Of course. I bet you do. Again, I'm not here to give a presentation. I'm here to bend to you and your friends in this room. So please.
Tell us more about the one who wants you to make them.
They are. Awakener speaks. And she breathes and he nods. The wards are up. They are known as the League of Miracles. I at once was a mercenary for them. And made a lot of money. I was good at my job. And they asked me to come back or pick some up. And I told them no, I had plenty to do here. And I did not like some of the rumors I had heard about them. And then, and father speaks up, then, well, there was an explosion, an accident. We were creating cloud material and some more crystals, things for fuel. And there was a ship moving across the sea to one of the islands, frankly packing more than it should have been. Much more. "100 souls perished in the explosion. And that's when something woke up. Hungry, angry. It was a storm. It is as if a storm had awoken itself. And we tried to do things to protect as best we could. We had no idea what would happen. And then, as Awakener continues, or cuts in, the League showed up with a solution. Gave us the material and enchantments, and continues to provide it as long as we produce the colors.
We ran into some friends of my live-in boyfriend who had dealt with the League before. They mentioned them before. Not to change topic, because I want to come back to this, but Mother, when we first spoke, the first time that I contacted you,
Yes.
When I said who I was, you thought I was playing a trick on you because you thought I was dead. Why?
I thought you died in the crash. The airship.
You knew about the airship.
Yes.
I mean, I knew you were friends with the deer at the convent. Shauna told me so, but
Is that what you told?
isn't that true?
She's very stubborn.
I used magic, my darling, to become a deer. That was me.
You're the deer.
Yes.
That actually explains a lot. Shauna, why didn't you tell me?
I did. Multiple times, you just didn't accept it. But you accepted that she knew the deer. So I went with it.
Fine. But back to the League. So as you're saying that they're providing you what you need to keep this city running?
To keep a thing sleeping.
What? I must have missed that part due to an audio weirdness that happened in my ear. What is asleep?
Holotalks. We have. I don't know, but I can tell you what I think it is. Fair?
Yes.
Kinda. It takes a moment. It is said that we were our people back in the making of this world, at least as non-giant folk would understand it, were allies, or of a sort with the primordials, the titans. And specifically there are here a one named Stranmos. The legends say we saved them from the god's destruction by having them sleep. A preamble to their awakening is a storm. It is what they are, you could say, almost like an egg. And I believe that storm was the egg cracking. So we, or the League really, quieted the egg.
So, if we could remove this sleeping giant, then there'd be no reason for you to continue your contract with the League, right? Oh, audio.
So Awakener talks. She goes, maybe.
Maybe.
When I was with the League, I didn't know them to be. I didn't know them to put all their eggs in one basket, you could say. It would be a start. We wonder if it would just become worse if another thing would come. Sometimes we wonder if this is the best deal. But to answer your question, immediately, no. Immediately, they'd not be beholden to them, but to stop would make them want to find a new way, we think, to put us back under their control.
What if... I mean, we could always contact my live-in boyfriend's friends and see what they know about this League. Maybe they've found something out. Or maybe they know something because they seem to be very knowledgeable about it. Maybe if we could get rid of the League.
Maybe. Awakener says, "This is why I didn't want you here.
What do you mean?
It's because I watched you grow up, Esme. And you're good. Good people want to fix things. And when they do, they get themselves killed. I don't want you to die. And I think no one can stop the League.
Well, maybe we don't have to stop them. We just have to find a way to remove their interest here.
I do want to give everyone else a chance if you have questions to kind of put in here. Luke?
Do you have any contact person with the League?
Yes, I pick up supplies and I often will drop off product to them.
Do you know where the drop-off is? If they have a hideout or location or anything like that?
No. I follow a path in which the logistics are hidden, but it is teleport, and it is entirely, well, windowless, you could say. I do what I need to do, and I leave. Where it precisely is, I don't know.
Is the teleport, would you be able to get other people in, or is it yourself only, or is it possible that we could just go through it as if opening a door? Or do they control it?
It is only activated at certain scheduled times. I would have to have ways to contact them to make them activate it. I'm always greeted on the other end. If it would be some type of an assault, if that's what you're thinking, well, they would definitely know we didn't. We've done so.
Plus, they probably have eyes and ears here as well.
I don't doubt it.
How long before from the incident of the explosion to whatever awakened did the League show up?
3 days.
Does anybody else find that coincidental?
Of course. But I was looking at the destruction of my people.
No, not accusing you of doing anything but what was best for your people, but it seems they maneuvered an offer you couldn't refuse.
Just nuts.
So there's a smart tactic. We at the Cerberus Assembly need to pull things like that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Which lends credibility to the point that they made that, if this is stopped, something else will take its place and be manufactured to keep them subservient.
Yeah. Wakener speaks. Manufacturer crisis. Come to their aid and solve it to build trust. I'd heard that occasionally.
Where is the seed you speak of located?
The ritual, or what we do to keep it moving, I should say. It is to the north, east, among the sea. We have
So this isn't the Titan that sits in front of Vasselheim. It's a different one.
indeed.
If Sean is correct in mind, would that be putting it towards heading towards Esselcross soon?
I would say when it starts to northeast, you feel like northeast of here is not that far,
Okay.
like close northeast.
Okay. All right.
So not the northeast, but northeast of the island.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, how close to giants are you with, like, I mean, if, say, you were to have an army backing you, would you take on this assembly of the League?
Like in our talks, the question isn't really that. It's they're not a nation. They're people. They have contracts. They have allegiances. One could even argue that they might even be able to say we would declare war on a nation such as Taldore, or the people there. They are folk heroes. It's like trying to end an invasion of or infestation of cockroaches. There's many places, I think. I firmly believe that the one I deliver what I deliver is but one of many. I know it's not the way I knew them. That's my problem. They're not an enemy I am used to. An army I can defeat, I can crush, I can outsmart on the battlefield. But a fungus is much harder to get rid of.
Is there anything we can do to take care of this problem for you?
What do you want of me, Esme? What do you want of us?
I just want to help.
Why did you come here?
To meet you.
Why did all of you come, Esme?
To be honest, there has been attacks on the Slayer's take from creatures that have been wearing these collars. Vasselheim's taken notice. They want it to end. They are good. We are the first to take this job. And I think Shauna kind of looks to the Awakener and goes, "You've touched the collars. your magic, your hands. If I could have figured it out, others like me can also. If we were not to take this job, others would have, and they would have came. We want to solve this without violence and without bloodshed. You're my best friend's mother, and best friend's father. I don't want anything of harm to come to either of you. But we can't also not acknowledge what's been done.
I see. I can't say that I am unaware or I am not involved in some fashion with all of that. But we sought out some contacts early on. There does not seem to be another magical way that we could find to take care of the issue. If you really did come here originally to take care of us,
No. That wasn't the deal we made.
we are the ones responsible for these attacks.
No, you're not.
Whatever you tell yourself, Esme. However, what I will tell you, simply this. The only ways I see out of this is combat. Either you complete a bounty or whatever it is the Slayer State calls them. Take care of those who can make such devices. And Awakener nods. Or that the reason we need to make them is taken care of.
You see, if you would have let your daughter explain, she was right. The contract was not made for you, nor her. The contract was made for a great green worm that I'm sure you saw fly above the skies. Everyone sure has. Now, if you want to show a penance for the actions you have caused, we ourselves, your daughter included, have been asked to find and just slay this worm. If you would assist in that, that could go a long ways to showing that you changed your ways and want better for Vasselheim and Isilra.
So a battle.
Not a battle with us, but a battle with a great worm.
That's what I mean. I see it simply. Maybe this penance earns us a reprieve for now. Esme, if that is what you ask of me, I will do it. I will do what I can to help you find this great worm. I will also, as the Awakener goes, no. And he goes, you can do what you want, my love. But I would also give you and your friends permission to take on the Scion, the storm, the crater, and what will hatch.
The one who sleeps?
Yes.
I'd like a chance after this to discuss that with my friends. I don't speak for them.
Of course. And I don't mean to say any of you, believe me, I am. The solution seems to be this worm you talk about, or the storm.
Well, couldn't we also just kill the League of Miracles?
That involves trying to take down a whole corrupt system on a continent. I've been there, I've done that, I've came from that. It's very hard.
Well, you survived, and
I ran away, good night.
She clears her throat. We're going to clear her throat. She goes, yes. It sounds like the rest of this is among you all.
well,
Know that we are not pleased with what we have done or had to do. And we are willing to help in any way that does not directly endanger my people. I hope you understand that.
well, I would like to tell you that my original intentions of coming here was to kill you. But after hearing your story, and I'm sure you know what the left claw Bahamut is, I do think that the greater evil is out there still. And you were doing what you felt was right. Not saying justice can't come in another form, but I will say that you will not have to stay awake looking for me at night.
Good to know. And I take that at your word. And I thank you. Good night.
And having talked about your people and protecting them, there are a couple you may need to pay particular attention to. One goes by the name of Mirabelle, the other Dev Trinkad. As they dug in on the fact that something needs to happen to remove Esme.
Yes. As I told you, I gave you the whether you would become officially or more under the cloak of darkness, and well, there would be consequences of either. So this is the one we will bear. But thank you. That is actually very good information. Is there anything else before I allow you to discuss this?
Yes.
Hmm.
I have was sort of a personal question. On our travels, when I was a child, I was told my name was Sorrow. And that was the name I went by when I was a child, up until I chose a name when I joined the order. But I also came to know I had another name.
Did you say Hope?
Yes.
Mhm.
I guess my question is, what name do you prefer?
Whatever you choose, honestly. Our word for sorrow and hope are of the same root for us, you could say in our language. not so much common or infernal for that matter. So, the way that you had those two, it's why.
I was told a story about how Hope died and Sorrow was born. Is that accurate?
Awakener says, yes. The hope that I could be a mother.
And the
So,
sorrow?
because I was gonna forever be sorry. And will always regret not being able to be there.
Okay. By the way, you really will have to meet Rowan. He couldn't make this trip, but I think you'll like him quite a bit.
They laugh. Of course, Esme, whatever you would like. If you wish to bring him, we'll gladly meet this live-in boyfriend of yours.
There is one thing I've been wondering. How come I haven't killed anybody?
Oh. Things here are simply stronger.
Even your grass.
Yes. The grass, as you say, the grass is. Oh, you expect? We can. Yes. Even here, there are stones and runes that keep the grass from killing everyone. They would grow monstrous. What you see is grass. It's not in many places. This whole place is old magic that keeps things sleeping or tame. That creates the world that we are in this small corner of it anyway. So even the deep corruption you have isn't strong enough.
Well, I thank you that this place exists, because for a short time it's bought me a reprieve.
I am thankful that that could do that for you. To be free of our curse. I don't believe will ever be a life, or it wouldn't be a curse, but we can find reprieve, all of us, for a time. Of course, by now the meal is kind of going down. And of course, anything else for any of you I can answer?
Just one really quick question. Would this be an okay location to host a summit of Fae?
You thinking about that here?
Why not?
I mean, I guess it would be.
As Awaken looks away, I don't think so.
Okay. I just thought I'd ask.
I have suspicions of how the ritual works, and I'm not. Let's just say I stopped looking into it.
Didn't we hear that the league was like collecting Fae?
Oh, yeah, this
Yeah,
would be a bad
that would
place.
probably be a bad idea to bring a bunch of Fae then. If there's like moles for the league here.
Well,
Oh, by the way, there's a queen, and they're having this big ritual, like the coronation thing going on.
Singorn it is.
By the way, do you know an easy, like, did you by any chance make like a magical key that just we can like touch a collar and it disappears? Am I lucky?
Everything we give to the League, they have no intent. They're not really made with keys. No. Each color is designed to be given a word by the League for opening or unopening.
You didn't happen to keep a list of every word that was written down for each color, did you?
No, I give them blank ones. They
Okay.
encode them.
Is there a way to give it a backdoor word in all subsequent?
If you ever make these again, you should do that. Create a back.
I do make them if again, honestly, if it was part of some type of plan, not as part of, oh, someday let's do something.
Hold on. If you could, that brings me to a better question. Could you come up with a better color that you could rework that could allow us to come up with a longer ideal plan to take them down?
I am always coming up with a better goal.
That is an option, everyone. It's the long con game.
We have time.
Yeah, but do we though?
If we
I
take
mean-
down the seed, it will cause them to have to regroup and rethink of their next action. If we have her still creating these colors, but introducing a back way for us to be able to take control of them, then, and they'll still be working for them, so there will become no suspicion that why they stopped, and they'll have to come investigate it. We're just a bunch of travelers that stumbled onto this. But if they can keep giving out these colors and not know that there is this back door, over time, when we do finally are able to make a stand against them, this would give us that chance.
You're making an assumption that we need an answer first. Are you the only manufacturer? Or are there others that make collars for them also?
I am the only one who can make, that I know of what I make. It would not be the League if they weren't figuring out how to backwards do some of them. It's one of the reasons that I always make better ones and I improve them.
So while this is, again, as Shauna said, a long con, the window is still pretty short.
And I mean, we would have to kill essentially an innocent sleeping thing when the real bad guy is still afoot. I just don't know how.
But good night. The real bad guy's not just one person. There are multiple people spread out through the lands, or even maybe Exandrial itself. We cannot hunt down every single person.
The issue is if you would take out the League tomorrow, we have no way to maintain the ritual without them.
We have to look at what we can take out first, and then focus on the problems.
And he speaks, and looking at Esme, and actually he looks at all of you. You all did something quite impossible coming here. That is why I'm willing to listen. Anything else for them?
Nope. I'm all set.
All right. And with that, the dinner will conclude, I believe, and they'll leave you all to have these conversations and to think about the best possible path. And we will take our break.
Your audio's off. You hit the wrong screen on there, Matt.
Yeah, I know. I forgot to change it. Yeah, we're not ending. All right. So, so I say from here would really be back to your rooms, unless there's anything anybody wanted to try to do.
We hadn't discussed anything, had we?
Yeah, try anything? No. Haven't wanted to try anything on these people yet.
Okay. No, I would just say generally you'd probably do the discussion back in your room. As well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Say if there was anything anybody wanted to be like, oh, I don't know.
I bring some food with me, especially this ale.
Oh.
That's time you tasted alcohol, she got drunk real quick.
Oh yeah, total lightweight.
Yeah. Very cool.
Mother, first dinner with the family. Is it everything you hoped it would be?
Yes. They're both very lovely. And very kind. I told you, they were good people.
My only question is, where do we go from here now that we found your parents, and we seem to have more things to do with the League now?
Well, I feel like at the moment, all of us have a common goal, even if it's maybe for slightly different reasons. We want to stop the making of collars, and I want to save my family, and it seems those ideas converge with this thing that's here. Right?
I suppose so. I mean, everybody, from you guys told me about these collars, I haven't encountered any monsters of these collars yet, so I'll take your word for it on that matter. I just want to know if there's any immediate short-term steps we have to do before we start going at it with the League.
Well, I mean, I think the first step would be, if this is the direction we choose, would be to ask my father to help us locate this creature so that we can fight it.
The Great Worm?
Well, no, the one who sleeps.
Got you. Okay. Crossing out Great Worm.
I mean, I will fight alongside you, but just letting you know, if we fight this thing, we're all probably gonna die.
Why would you say that?
Don't even know what it is.
You
We
were
were told.
prepared.
It's one of the Titans. Like, I mean, I'll fight Tiamat herself, but I mean, these things are not the funnest, and it quite literally has done nothing wrong except got disturbed from its sleep. I mean, we can try, but I mean, mind you, where I've lived most of my life, we have a big giant one great bias, and I've countlessly thought of ways with dozen great paladins of what would happen if that thing came to life, and general consensus, we all would die.
Keeping that in mind, is there no way we could stop it from waking up? If that's the problem. If we're facing, if the League is what's keeping it asleep, it could be there's more of a permanent solution to that. If there's like a be all end all sleep pill that you give a Titan to keep it sleeping.
Maybe. But it would require true divine intervention. And my track record with that is not so good.
Oh, no harm in trying every day.
True.
I just don't have any ideas other than just having your mom put in that failsafe for those collars, and then when we think we've put out enough, that's when we start. That seems like a very hammer to the nail kind of problem, if you get what I mean by that.
Well, it's like Vanessa said, other people will take that contract. And they'll come here.
Well, can anyone send something to our friends? We met that queen lady, what was it? Sayonara?
Is this people from the Slayer's Take?
No, the queen. That had the Fae.
Yes,
thing.
yes. There were the queens there, correct?
Yeah. Has anyone tried reaching out to them and see if they have any more information? I know they were very knowledgeable on the League when we met them. I mean, maybe they might have some ideas.
That's who I'd mentioned. I could always try by way of Rowan to find that out, or contact one of them, but I'm not sure if they'll know much more than what they told us when we last spoke, unless they've discovered something recently.
Well, we know very little of anything, so I don't see the harm in checking all our sources.
Well, what we learned from them was that they had their hand in a lot of jars, and they had thought that the people we were going to go meet that morning might be with the League. It turns out they weren't. They were from, what's the name of that place with the dragons?
Draconia.
Draconia.
Okay, so me above table was thinking the whole time that they were a part of the League. I guess they're not.
No. They were Draconians. But we had thought they might be the League because our friends had told us that they suspected they were the League because they had been fighting the League for a while. And that's the first time we ever heard anything about the League. So.
Huh.
Mother, I have to ask. I mean, you've spoken about how you plan to retire soon with Rowan. If you were to do one last great deed before you retired, what would you want to do? We have these three options laid ahead of us.
What options are there?
I mean, try to somehow put the slumbering Titan back to slumber for good. Maybe another century or 1,000 years until it's our permanent way to make it slumber. Bind the Great Worm, fulfill the contract with Vanessa, so then you don't have to worry about anybody coming after your mother, and that would be taken care of. Or somehow try to take down this miracle group.
How would we take down an entire organization?
It would be that. That's the thing. I feel like that would be the longest, and I don't know if you have the time or want to put your effort towards that, because it would be trying to slowly infiltrate them and learn about them and learn who their key players are, and then strike each of them until we get to the top.
I'm definitely not looking forward to fighting a Great Worm. I hated it before it was such a thing, and I am hating it twice as more now that I know what it is.
This is a decision I feel like you would all have to make, not me, because that's a very long-term fight. I think whatever happens, perhaps maybe my place might be here for a while. To help. Maybe to get information or
There might be League in the city, we just don't know where they are. Maybe we could spend some time finding them. I don't know how that works out with the plan of the callers, but that's something.
As for the immediate threat, I mean, obviously, what I'd love is to take out the root cause of it, but it's not me that would do it. But I feel like if that was the right course, then I would need to be here.
I agree. If we were to do the long con, it would be best to have you here. Because you would be able to be our contact here. Be able to keep your mother safe in case prowling eyes did come looking. You could turn them away. Or at least inform them that she's in on the inner job without the League finding out.
You're also royalty. You have station here. I feel like that'll help you out a little more.
But do we then just turn away from letting this Titan thing do its thing while we focus on directly on the League?
I think that's what we should discuss.
I mean, from what I've been told, it's currently not really doing any harm. It's just sleeping.
Is sleeping because of a ritual, right? The ritual that the League is doing?
That's what I believe. Yep.
Okay.
So the ritual's just to keep it sleeping?
If we did eliminate the League, then the ritual ends and the Titan becomes a problem.
Yes.
So if the plan was, let's take out the League, but not have a plan to deal with the Titan, then it's all for nothing.
Exactly. So I think we'd have to take out the Titan and find a way, either learn about the ritual they're doing and find a way to make it a permanent ritual. Because there must be a reason that they haven't fully enacted it to go back to sleep fully.
That's true.
I'm
was-
thinking they're using that as a reason to hold everybody at hostage. We have this Titan under our control right now that we could unleash, and it could wreck whoever we guide it towards.
And this is what my father's been protecting the world from.
Exactly. And they found a way to kind of hone in over him.
Then I think for me personally, I think the Titan would have to be dealt with either way. And dealing with them earlier might put the League at a disadvantage at holding any reign here, which means that this place could become a place to help fortify an army against the League. Because no one here would be happy with them after being held at Arrow Point.
But couldn't they also bring a more dangerous disaster like your mother was talking about? And they bring something even worse than the Titan against them?
Based on what we understand about this League, they've got their fingers in a lot of different things. I feel like their weakness might be the fact that they're overstretching. And if we cut off one thing, they might just eat the loss and start fortifying their other areas. But I could be wrong. Maybe they will come here, but I don't know.
See, but we've met our friends Siri and them that are back on Teldori. If they're working against the League also, and they can cut off one of the other plans the League is doing, I mean, that's two different groups that the League can't, will have to be focusing on. It's a little harder when there's two groups coming at you than one.
True.
I agree with that.
What is this other group's worry? Like, I know we have to deal with we're thinking of dealing with a Titan. What have they found about the League?
Well, they had mentioned a friend of theirs that I think they mentioned a friend of theirs, and I could be mistaken, but I think they did mention this. I think they mentioned that a friend of theirs had, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but they did mention the situation with the barbarians, correct? Well, I can't hear you.
Mouthing says yes.
Okay. So they did mention one of their friends' families was enslaved through these collars. So either way, I mean, the collars seem to be the biggest thing. If we can get rid of their hold on these collars, which means that we can release the collars, we would be doing more good by taking out this Titan than anything, because we could weaken the collars, get rid of them as a resource, and without the collars, this League is going to be neutered.
Pretty much, yeah. Now that I'm starting to see it now.
Wouldn't they only change put new ones on new things and they still hold all the old ones, though?
Well, I don't think they know how to make them. Why else would they be so adamant about?
They might learn how to from the designs they'd have, but it would be a rudimentary design considering we'd have the one that first crafted them. So as long as we were able to get them a version of the collars that even if they tried crafting, I believe Esme's mother would be able to tell us how to dismantle them.
Well, what I was meaning, if Esme's mother starts making the ones with the dummy, won't all the other ones that they've already made and put on people still be in effect, though?
Depends. I don't know. I don't know the conversion rate of how they change out these collars. I don't know. It's a gamble, but it's better than having no backdoor at all. It helps our chances. It helps the Taldori group too.
But if we go for this Titan And then, so that's the thing, like, how soon, Mother Esme, do you want your mother to quit doing that? I mean, if we were to do the Titan thing, would you stop having her send the colors instantly? Because
I mean, well, I would hope so. Like, even if we created a back door on them, they're still hurting people.
true. So then
And-
we would have to be fast about this.
Yes, incredibly fast. And I'm very much convinced that if they're this adamant on trying to control my parents, then they haven't quite perfected how to make these colors as good as them. So they might create some, but I don't think they're going to be as good as the ones that are on the market. I mean, not to brag, but my parents make the best slave collars.
I don't think that's a good point to brag.
I know, it's really not. I was trying to bring levity to the situation.
Oh no, your brand of humor is interesting. I like it.
If these collars are so important to them and your parents stop, do we think that they would do whatever it would take to get them back under control?
I think they would focus on one of their other schemes. Like Mother Zeus said, they have many hands and many pots. We've heard about from Siri that they were kidnapping Fae. I don't know what that has to do with this or collars. But I mean, maybe the collars to control the Fae. But I mean, there has to be some bigger scheme behind the reason they would kidnap Fae.
Do
Maybe
we
we learned
think
about it. We're looking into how to stop this Titan. I mean, there will definitely be League members when we're going after this Titan. Maybe we'll learn something along the way.
would that magic thing that you guys do to learn about information by any chance help with this
If I
situation? and
knew
what
more about the
happened?
ritual, I would have to learn somehow about what exactly ritual they're using.
Right.
And
Oh, I was meaning about the league.
The League of Miracles?
Yeah.
I don't, Matt. I mean, because the League of Miracles isn't like history, is it? Like,
It's for a reason.
Yeah,
Legend
I would
Wars.
say depends if anybody has Taldori roots.
I don't.
I would say if you don't have Taldori roots, then you're not really going to have an idea of what.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in this group would.
Okay.
Guess you better brush up on how we kill Titans.
But we also have to be careful about disrupting the ritual and having it shared to the League. Because once we disrupt it, it only takes one of them to get the word out.
Yes, they will become very much aware of what we're doing, probably the moment we begin. But
The other thing that we could look at is disrupting the supply chain if there's a specific thing that's needed for the collars to buy us time to figure out.
well, my parents would know all about it. I'm curious if there's any type of fey magic involved in, if that's why the League has been taking fey.
Matt, when Azok identified the advanced collar that Esme's mother brought out on this session, he did pick up any like sources like Fey magic or anything else like that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really. I wouldn't say there was any fey magic necessarily there.
Okay.
I would say, one thing that you do know about these collars is that they're all mithril.
Mithril. Okay.
Which we do know because we encountered that mithril mine they're getting from the fire giants north of here. So we did stop that for now by taking that hammer that Goodnight carries around with him.
And
But
Ozzy.
again, to go close down a mine that's being mined by giants, I don't think that is a safe bet. I mean, we could still try, but Marbellus, we were there. Do you think? And we only
Well,
fought
that's
before
a
there were
that's a
mines.
yeah, but that the mithril is although it's not red, they can get it from other mines. Be interesting to know what's the one thing that Esme's mom has to have to make the collars work, because if it's rare enough or
Probably
hard to
her.
come by.
But yes, I wonder if there is an ingredient.
Maybe it's love.
I'm not feeling any love in these collars. I'm gonna be really honest here.
Well, we could ask her.
Could. If there's no other
And I don't know that that's the quickest way, but it could buy us time.
See, I think if we use that, then we need to use our time wisely. We'd have to have somebody, or some of us, maybe even split while we do small little things, and some of us try to learn about what's going on with this Titan, with the ritual, because without being able to learn more about that, we can't use the way to put it, stop it.
what would that entail? Like, how would we learn more information on this Titan?
Well,
I just want to check in real quick because I just have Charlie and Critters haven't said too much. Just want to make sure those two are good, or if there's anything they want to jump in with.
No, I'm just listening.
Just check and then continue.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be to ask help, ask the Cobalt Soul people that have this information, the library maybe. I mean, I hate to say it. I know nobody wants to go back to the library. Trust me. Trust me. But
Can I send the sending to Palin? Maybe he's still
exactly, like other people, like I
Have
don't
a
know if
sec-
Taldori has a library there or not, or like something like that.
Wizard. I can always ask Ebnon.
That's what I mean. If there's other resources we could use to help gather this information about this, we might have to start pulling our resources.
Maybe a deity.
Like yourself? You want me to grab a mirror? Maybe it'll work better.
What if we orchestrate a kidnapping of your mom?
Yes. If she's the vital resource, she has to play AWOL for a little bit. That'll definitely halt.
And point it towards somebody in direct opposition of the League.
Marvelous. When you were getting a read of the room, did it seem like anyone was not from here?
Let me think about that. Matt, did Marvel?
I mean, I would say I think that's just not what you were checking for.
Yeah, it was.
We're very
It was
much
more, yeah.
focused on the other things. So
But there were a couple of people that were entrenched against you being here, which could play to our advantage.
Do you think any of them know the League?
See, we would have to deal with them though if we did kidnap his mother, because we can't have them being blamed and them still being around.
Well, that's what I was. If there's somebody, if we can find out some more information to find out if there are organizations that are directly opposed to what the League is doing, we could leave a trail that way while we and then of course that would shut the collars down for the time being without us having to try to disrupt any kind of supply chain. We would disrupt the production.
I mean, it might take some time, but if you're willing to hear me out, I played in the. Everybody knows what I did back home before my former life. I delved in this spy game and the assassination game. If we were to leave certain clues that pointed this back towards the Cerberus Assembly, I was to appear with disguised self magic as a former mentor of mine who happens to be alive again, and the League happens to just get enough whiff that they would have to go to another continent to learn. Maybe that even if it would take them time to learn the information to even check it out, and even if they learned that they weren't behind it, then they would have to start over. So that could be and I mean, it's a win-win for me.
And in the event, let's just say the league says, oh, well, you know what? We'll shut this down, and pulls their people with the ritual. Then we're right where we wanted, right where we had an opportunity to choose the path of removing the Titan from the equation. And I say that with all the fear of facing a Titan there is. But I don't know. It's a
Do you think
That
so go on, Critters?
that would definitely give us time to figure out how to take care of it. Because, well, even if they don't release it, we would be the next ones probably suspected. Because we popped out of nowhere, came in, and a few days later, the creator of the collars is missing. It does give us time to do that research and figure out ways.
So we all do a little bit of research around here.
Works for me.
Before we do this, Mother, you might want to talk to your mother if she's okay about being kidnapped.
Well, I'm actually not okay with that part, to be honest with you. And I know she'd agree to do it if I asked her, but I'm worried that if there's... go ahead.
She's not really getting kidnapped. She's going. It's her going willingly to
Witness protection.
Well, yeah, it's a vacation.
Well, this is why I was asking Marvellus that question, because I am 100% sure that if the League has this tight a reign here, then there are people here from the League in this city, and they would catch wind of what we're doing, and they would know it's a ruse, and then they would try to harm either my father or the people here in retaliation to get us to stop. I feel like if we're going to do this, it needs to be a little bit of subterfuge, just getting information, and then we make our plan of attack. Trying to fool them, I think, is going to blow up in our face.
Plan our attack on who, though?
Well, that's the thing. Once we figure out what we can about this ritual and about this Titan and about the League in general, we make that decision.
If I were running a kingdom and was held hostage and forced to commit atrocities in order to keep my place safe, I'd be working on the side to figure out the answers to these exact same questions. Surely your mother and father, with their resources, have some more information about this ritual or the location of the Titan.
they're definitely a resource, and I'll definitely ask them.
They
Or
may
any-
know a local league.
It might help to know more about how the League got in touch with them.
And I still definitely recommend reaching out to Sayuri. That was her name. Sayuri and company, due to we haven't talked to them in a few weeks and we never know if anything new has came up, because it seems like they were hot on the trail of the league and everything, so
Yes,
maybe they have new information that they're dealing with.
I'm not sure, but I know there's like 15 queens in that group, and I imagine they have a lot of things they're dealing with. But I can try to reach out to them.
Yes, Queen.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I would say you definitely, as far as the location, you have that from them. I mean, I think just you could easily get to the location of where the ritual is. They essentially would have given that in the conversation.
Would it be here?
It's northeast of the island.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
Yeah, I think I remember that coming up. I just don't know if that was brought up as much for us to remember.
Yeah, no, it's just because like there's not good like longitude, this longitude, like you know where it is.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay.
Let's be bookworms for a bit. Let's figure out this
Yes.
ritual. Who wants to start?
Is there a library in this town?
Yeah, there's
let's-
certainly libraries.
Come with me and find me the best library. You're the best talker. I'm the best researcher. Let's go. Anybody else want to come? Charlie, you're good at reading minds.
Sure. Not as good at reading books, unfortunately.
But you can know if they're lying to me.
We're just gonna go to the temple of Amon. Is that the one with all the books in it, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's where Chris is gonna go for research.
I was gonna say that is the library, is the Temple of Anam that you guys were at.
So you're all going to the same place then.
I think Esme will
Oh,
spend
okay.
her time doing a commune to get some information, doing ascending to get some information, and then maybe meeting up with the group to go speak to her parents when we need to get information from them.
Is going to this library like a multi-day thing, or is this should we trying to get all this in like one session at the library?
I mean, you can have some days here. It's up to you.
'Cause I
Right
feel
now,
like-
you would be going to sleep, and then you'd be going over.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that Azok has the offer. It's just like every day he has the setting stone charge. He's gonna just talk. He's gonna speak with Emnon over at the Dynasty and see on his end if he can find anything about this ritual about the Titan, whether we could put it to sleep or do some harm to it. All of our options.
I think he's pretty busy right now.
You're back. A little too busy for you.
Wibbly wobbly, tiny wibey.
Sorry, giant demon, gotta go.
Oh, we seem to have no connection. Well, that's not just gonna sit here.
So those are going to the library. What are you attempting to find out?
Shauna's trying to find out any information she can about this ritual. Any texts on it, any old hints to it, a name, or anything she can get.
Okay.
She will go through every book if she has to.
right, and then
Charlie's interested if there's any. I mean, Titans are ancient beings, right?
mhm.
So she wants to see if she can learn any sort of. Is there a religious? I mean, this Titan's right by this land of giants. So is there any sort of giant religion references to this ancient Titan that slumbers?
And I guess Marvellus is going to be on the lookout for anybody that, any conversation he can have with anybody that can uncover anybody that shouldn't be there. Spies for the league or whatever.
and critters. What's critters trying to do?
He's gonna try and look for like locations of like where the Titan has been said to slumber in its past, or where it's been, kind of deal. Try to connect dots of where it could be with that.
Okay. Very good. Then I think Shauna, then yours. You do have access to the library. It's not entirely crazy, and so you can do a investigation check, and then Charlie, you said you're talking to people.
No, I mean, maybe the religious people who were teaching us last session.
You can do investigation, or you can do persuasion, and then Velis, give me insight.
So Shauna got a 17 plus 15 for a 32.
Charlie got a natural 20 plus 10 for a 30.
Okay. So I'll start with Shauna and go down my list here as y'all doing that. So Shauna, you were looking at specifically the ritual of the Titan. Let me do it this way, I think. Let me get critters check there.
But I didn't hear what you wanted to roll.
So I would probably be investigation.
That's 13.
Okay. So give the general information you find out in your 3 areas that you're looking at here. Charlie, as far as the religious references and what people generally believe about this Titan, is that here in general, what they is often talked about how the gods banished the primordial Titans and forces of the world into 4 surrounding planes. What talking to you, are you talking to them? What these people believe to be true, their version is that yes, that happened, but there were 6 pillars of Titans, 6 main ones specifically, and there were many that were either put to sleep or imprisoned, not on another plane, but here on the material. And that because of this, they were able to hold. They actually created more of a stable foundation that keeps everything moving here in Exandria, that keeps it steady. And even a quote unquote defeated one simply is put back to sleep in some way. So they can't truly be destroyed. So it's mostly about causing them to re-slumber. And that should one awake, that pillar they're responsible for holding up is what begins to suffer around the world.
Any insight into which pillar this Titan would represent? I mean, is there like a geographical connection?
It's more of an elemental one.
Okay.
And it has to do with storms, so more weather, environmental.
Okay. So it's not like fire and ice, maybe, but okay.
So the way they view them are the one that control, like the idea of the clouds or the sky itself. Then there is hill and stone. There's storm, fire, and frost.
Okay.
That's how they tend to view them. And so in giants, because it's also their elemental makeup, that's how they that's their elements that create the world. And then so when you try to translate into like the elements of what they would call the little folk, it doesn't quite perfectly translate.
Right.
Because just of the way that they think of the world as how it's built is just different. So then specifically Shauna, you would pick up similar stuff, especially on Stranmas, of how the whole idea is that these things are meant to slumber. And I think you could go, this is, any ritual is likely having to do with keeping something asleep. And with that higher score, in your calculations, you would know that, like, generally a sleep spell has to have a certain level of power to keep something asleep. You understand how, like, a level 1 sleep spell works? You would assume that such a ritual would have to replicate essentially a sleep spell. Let me actually do it in these terms because it's easier.
Would it be like kind of like, I'm thinking a 9th level sleep spell, but ritual style, like with multiple wizards and possibly runes from these people that they've learned.
Or like if like there's multiple casters doing it the same, it's just compounding the level of spell.
I would say something around, as far as its pure power, something around like a 200th level spell.
Yeah.
Oof. So I mean, not much. That's easy. We can replicate that.
So that's what this ritual is ultimately needing to do. And then you think of the idea of the amount of time it has to take. Like, it is the idea that there has to be a constant maintenance and that they're constantly pouring resources into this to probably keep them asleep. At least that's what they're telling Esme's parents. It makes sense that there'd have to be a continual source of arcanum and magic and power in order to keep this up, because it's incredibly powerful.
From seeing the runes though around here, could I also put together that they might have been getting help from that? Since this is so powerful?
Yeah, you would assume it has to do, there'd have to be some type of runic magic involved. Yeah. But what you said too is runes eventually wear out what they're inscribed upon. the way it's so deep, and eventually the rune loses, right? Runes need to be maintained.
Yep.
To truly have the power. You've seen Gothic do this. And so there's still this reinvestment of energy. The big advantage of the runes more than likely give with your check is that they enable them to charge it up like a battery instead of having to continually be a constant fuel source. If that makes sense.
Gotcha, yeah. I will definitely refer all this back to the group.
Okay. Now, critters, you're looking kind of at the past, and yours was a 13. I think ultimately where you would get information of is, as far as where it would go, you would feel that this has actually likely been not always here. And possibly there's been moments throughout history where it's like stirred. Specifically, I would say one location you think it was at least at one point a few hundred years ago was near the Menagerie Coast. Likely in the times when Ukatoa was rumored to be free. And Marvellus, what was your insight?
So it's a 10, unless I can use my peerless skill.
I think you can, can't you? I mean,
Yeah, it can on ability checks.
yeah.
And I just wanted to ask before just to make sure.
Mhm.
It would be a 19.
I would say you probably track down about 20 different people that are suspicious. But if they're here, and with a 19 you think they probably are, they are very careful about hiding their tracks.
Okay. And I'll of course, when we reconvene, I'll share that.
Okay. And did Azek have anything that you thought of for Azek?
Nothing to aid the investigating about the Titan. No. So if this is taking like days and days of research to do, I honestly, he's probably just being off on his own. If Gresh is with him, because I don't know if he's been traveling with us at all, the Hexblood goblin that he resurrected, he's probably just ignoring him a bit. And in game terms, probably making to see if he can start the line of doing like a psychic kind of thing. I don't know if that's something we could try from like Tasha's.
Okay. Yeah, I think it makes sense to me.
Awesome.
I think
You're working on like a feat kind of a thing. Is that what you're?
So like, there's Tasha's has this thing where there's just like a psychic sidekick.
Sidekick.
Yeah,
I
not
heard the
sidekick.
word sidekick. I apologize.
Mispronouncing it. I have food in my mouth. No.
Yeah, I would say. Sorry, I think. Yeah, I would say. I don't know. Yeah, Shauna. I think the other thing as far as the ritual, you'd say in this turn. There's a term for like the prison of sleep that they're said to engage in, which is called a cradle.
Thank you. Once you're done with people, I'm gonna be doing a legend lore, Matt.
Okay. Good night. Do you have anything?
Good night's super paranoid, and he's actively keeping guard over Mother Esme in case, like, in his mind, assassins are just going to break in and try and murder the princess at any moment. So he's just actively guarding over her, especially since the rest of the party is gone.
All right, then Esme.
All right, so Esme has focused her attention on learning as much about the League as possible. So she's been contacting a number of different people. She would have contacted Rowan first, just to kind of get a general idea of what he knew and if he knew anybody that she could talk to. She would also contact Palin to see if he answers and to see if he could spend any of his time helping to research from afar with any of his studies.
What I will say is Palin gives some at least a general idea of, oh yes, very helpful people. They make a lot of money, they get a lot of political power, make friends with them, they make friends with you, pay really well, actually. Good people to work for.
And so, yeah, she'll just ask him some questions about that, just kind of get an idea of what he can tell her. And like where they might be, what types of stuff they usually pay for, that kind of thing. She would also, during that time, do a probably a communing after she got some information about the League to try to see if there was anything she could learn from a more divine sense about them.
Okay, we're going to do commune. That's fine. Just need your 3 questions.
Sure. So kind of just depending on what she finds out, she would ask essentially 3 types of questions. One of them would be, and I know these have to be yes or no. So one of them would be, if there was a way to reason with the Titan rather than have to fight it. Because I think in her head she's been thinking about this, and she knows that this ritual is coming from the League, so this Titan may not like the League since they're keeping them asleep. Maybe that would be to their benefit.
I think you kind of get an unsure from that one.
Okay. So she would also ask if there are people in town, in this city, who are working for the League as spies.
Yes.
Okay. And she then asks if they tried to organize a ruse to kidnap her mother. Is it likely that these spies would find out?
Commune doesn't do a good job on future stuff necessarily.
Okay. So here's the question. How much attention do these spies pay a lot of attention to the day-to-day of her mother?
So I'd say for that one, you would get right now they do.
Okay. That's what she needed to know.
And I think back to the first one. Remind me what you said again.
She was asking about. She was trying to word it in a way about reasoning with the Titan.
Yeah.
Since the Titan might be. I guess she would be asking:
would the Titan consider the League more of an enemy than us?
So what I would say, well, you get more back because it is unsure in that it's their minds are both kind of above a lot of that, but more specifically, they are elemental chaos.
Okay.
In their existence. So the idea of aiming that is very like, how do you do that?
Right.
So that's why it's a little bit of a weird. But I would say
Understood.
you'd get that a bit of their nature. Go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why that's a hard thing to answer.
So unless Rowan had an idea of people that could be, like, she might actually put Rowan in charge of that. She would just kind of say, "Hey, can you reach out to people you know, and like, because you've dealt with the League before, and maybe you could get back to me," because she checks in with them every day with their sending stone.
Yeah, I would say probably the interesting information Palin would be glad to give you is that they regularly hire spellcaster mercenaries for their jobs.
Okay.
If you're proficient, and they will bring you in. They do make you work up all the time, but what they do need spellcasters.
Does he know how they recruit? Do they, like, what would one have to do to make themselves noticed by the League?
I would say there's actually offices that one could inquire. Other than that, people are approached if the League feels like they have the disposition.
All right, and so
like
she would.
Palin kind of goes like, almost like Palin, because he's kind of money centric, has been approached and has done jobs with the League.
Well, yeah, I figured he had. So she would just kind of pick his brain on like finding some location information and just saying that she knows some people who might be interested in working there. So yeah, she was just checking in with him, and So yeah, she would bring all that back to the group in case they wanted to do more of an espionage thing with it.
And I would say he would say probably if you give him a name, he'd be glad to give like the first lot of introduction at an office.
Oh, so yeah, she'll definitely bring that information as well. So unless Rowan ever gives her any information, then that's kind of all she does.
Okay. I would say, I would think Rowan have as much as has been shared in that campaign with Rowan there.
Okay.
Okay. Then Shauna had another spell?
Yes, Legend Lore.
And who are we Legend Loring?
Cradle of Sleep.
Okay. Okay. So, about the cradle here. I think.
I guess what I'm trying to get more is I'm trying to use that in the information of the Titans and try to find how the original Titans were put to sleep.
Yeah, specifically that. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for clarity in this particular Legend Lore. I think you do see these 6 Titans, and there are populations of giants very specifically inscribing upon stones and clouds. It even looks like they're writing upon the oceans themselves, the ocean floors. It appears that some even are doing things to shift islands and continents and you see this view, and you're able to see runes being pushed into Exandria itself that tell their story, the friendship between them and Giant Kind. It's almost like these made one huge lullaby that had 6 parts, one for each of these cradles. And these combined together knitted these things, these beings, into a slumber. And throughout just time and natural forces, islands even being destroyed, magic even being used to reshift weather patterns, explosions like in the Age of Arcanum have eroded this epic lullaby, and thus the wrong arcane the right explosion, a certain arcane explosion in the wrong place could break a very fragile enchantment.
After
The
the
original
vision,
spell, I would say also the original one, it seemed to have something to do with them acquiescing to it at first. Others, specifically one of the actual of Stone and Hill, the actual land of Exandria, had more of a battle, like they had to be weakened a bit before they finally kind of gave in to the lullaby. But at least initially, it seems like it was set up to where, with all 6 agreeing to the same lullaby, is what at least powered the first one. Which would give you the information that you believe if one was to fully awaken and be awake, that the others would follow suit rather quickly.
and probably it would be the Earth Titan that's sitting in front of Bassalam first, because it's already been woken once. So it's already the weakest, the most susceptible to being woken again. But no, as Shauna sees all this, I think a tear comes to her eye because she just sees this big rune that was etched out on Exandria and thinks about Gothic at that moment, going how just amazing he would find that. And then she'd go find everybody and let them know that she saw what they did to get the Titans to slumber. And I think also hearing from Mother Esme, she'd be like, we might be able to convince it to go back. I mean, we can't let it waken up.
Well, I mean, it is, for lack of a better word, a chaotic bomb, isn't it?
That makes sense. Actually, they predate the gods. They are chaos. They made the earth, so I guess they're
Not so much chaos. They're just more. They're what made this world. I mean, but
So how is this a threat? Why would the League of Miracles ever let this thing wake up?
well, I
Doesn't-
don't think they let it woke up. I think they found that it was awakening and managed to put a collar on it in a way, metaphorically, to control its slumber, because they obviously don't know how to fully put it back to sleep, or if they do, they're purposely doing this to use it as a power threatener.
But
yeah.
but couldn't we just call the bluff? I mean, are they really going to let this Titan wake up and wreak mass destruction?
It's a bit of a gamble.
How
You-
fitting it would be for my mother to wake it up.
What?
Her name is Awakener.
Yes, but if this one awakens, soon the one from Vasselheim would awaken, and then the others would awaken.
Oh,
The world of Exandria as we know it would come to an end.
right.
I mean, these beasts would reclaim what was once theirs, which in reality would be beautiful. But
They had
it would,
gods to stop them. We have no gods to stop them here.
well, I don't think. Yes, at times, but at first they went to bed willingly. What I saw was they made a pact with the giants, who they left this place to sleep, and there was a lullaby. They all and went to rest.
As a reminder, you also know of another great sleeping thing below the Rifamous jungle.
Uh-huh.
Oh
What?
shit!
There's 3 titans we know about.
Matt's
what?
like, hey, remember?
Because your character's what?
Yeah.
You're
I'm really, I'm
I
really
don't
like,
remember
we can't
this.
let this wake up. Yeah. That's why that group is down there controlling that jungle and trying to waken something up and messing around with a seed that
Wait,
they've been supplying.
Just give another reason for Azok to hate these people.
was this at the
Could be- The Iron Authority
Ooh.
in the
Oh.
bottom. No, yeah, the Iron Authority in the bottom
Oh,
of the
them.
story.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
they could be also connected to the League, because they're on the same continent. People.
Oh yeah.
I think everyone is connected to the League at this point.
That's what I mean.
So-
We don't know how deep they are.
Okay. So what's your plan?
I was just letting you know what I learned.
Oh, okay. I came to you
Just
for
make the plans.
guidance.
Give me a minute to have to think.
I mean, so Palin had mentioned a couple of things that might be useful. The League is always looking for spellcasters, and he knows a couple of recruitment offices. And you know Palin. So he also said he'd put in a good word if. Speaking strictly as espionage, not an actual job opportunity, just so we're clear on that.
Well, you do a few jobs. You climb into the ranks. You meet more interested people.
I've been in one shadow network. I suppose another one wouldn't be too bad.
I don't know how I feel about that. Gotta be really honest.
It's not a life for everybody.
Now that we have all this information, what does everyone think the best course of action is?
I feel like we reason with. Sounds like we have a chance to reason with this giant, this Titan. Whether or not we can keep it slumbering, that's a big win for us and a major loss to the League. I say we go for it.
You reason
did-
with it for the sleep.
You did hear what I said, though, about reasoning with it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I mean, there'd be a way to possibly reason with it, but it wouldn't be us. I mean, maybe you, Mother. But I don't know how much your father is connected to the giants around here, or through even if he is connected to them so much. But if we were to get, now this is a tough one, and it would be totally different than espionage. But if we were to go and find the chiefs, leaders of each of the giants, or maybe the storm giant chief, or whoever they have, that would be the person that contact would be able to talk to him, because they have that. They are the ones that helped introduce the lullaby to this world. I think we might have to enlist in the help of them to put it back. They've been here longer than we have. They must know their ways more.
Right.
That's an option. I don't know.
I will tell you that the league has plenty of eyes and ears around, and they are very good at keeping their tracks hidden.
Yes. They are definitely watching my mother like hawks, which another reason I don't. Well, the biggest reason I don't want to go forward with trying to fool the league. They're watching everything here.
So it seems like we have two paths really ahead of us now. If the Titan is our focus at this moment,
So,
it's either.
Titan or the league in general.
Well, I mean, the league's going to come down to be the big one at the end, but either we can go in, like you said, and work for the league, learning from the inside about the ritual and about what they're doing, maybe getting a way in to being able to stop it or change it, or we can try to contact the ones that first created it and first helped it. I mean, either option's going to be tough.
I'm all for getting help from the Giants over getting into bed with the league. I feel like they have a better chance communicating with this thing or putting it to sleep than we would by ourselves.
Critters, Marvelous, Charlie, any thoughts?
Dealing with the league could take us on many different paths and not get us any closer to what we're trying to accomplish. The other route seems not without its challenges, but a little more straightforward.
Also has the advantage of us having a princess to provide an opportunity for more direct introduction.
We could use that. It could be your Armente.
Oh, God.
Like what?
You go around and introduce yourself to each of the giant clans, getting them to get your vote. But secretly, we're meeting with the elders to get them to help us put the Titans back to sleep.
Wait, what? Why am I getting votes? What are you talking about?
You're not wrong. If you claim your father's throne, if you take the title of heir, it would be appropriate for you to meet the leaders of the other giants.
I'm not even a giant.
No, but you're an heir. That's what's important.
Yes, your father is of the giants around here in this kingdom.
And he technically wasn't a giant to begin with.
We don't know that.
I think we do.
We do know that.
We do know that.
The giant king and became a giant.
We just have to be careful because not everybody shares that sentiment.
There would be ones that would try to stop us along the way, of course.
Which I think Goodnight has no problem with dealing with.
So, wait, that wasn't a serious suggestion.
Yes, there was.
You would be
To parade me among giant clans and say hello.
Well, it's not a parade. You would be literally introducing yourself, building an alliance with each of the factions of the giants, possibly combining them together, be able to hold up against anybody. I mean, you could be connecting them.
But because you're royalty, a parade could absolutely be part of it. We could do a parade.
For the record, parades aren't that important.
I feel like we've gone off track here a bit.
I mean, with the parade, yes, we have.
But the Armente kind of thing isn't, because I mean, it'd be the ways of getting the people that first helped put the Titans to sleep. They would have their old ways and know they would know the ways of the lullaby and how the rune magic worked in the first place. They would keep that through their ages of their chiefs.
So
you would be getting them together to help us put the Titans back to sleep, is what we'd ask. But the only way they probably wouldn't look at it as us 5 people that have nothing to do with giant blood, like anything. They'd feel us like we are less than them. But a princess coming from a giant clan who's known would get an honor with their chiefs.
Okay. But we realize what this sounds like, right?
Maybe, but what do you think it sounds like?
Well, I mean, a tiefling nun with a half-elf musician boyfriend is going to travel to all of the giant kingdoms as representatives of giants. I just feel like at some point someone's going to challenge me, and I'm not physically a combatant as much as I am a magical combatant.
You see that dwarf that's sleeping right there? I'm pretty sure he would take up any challenge for you.
I mean, hell, you want a T-Rex? I'll give you a T-Rex to fight by your side.
You know I would step up through anything. You walk through lava for me.
Okay, right. Okay, we'll add it to the options list. But in the meantime, that's a very long commitment, and I'm more worried about the here and now with this kingdom's problems. I mean, you said it yourself. If I am the heir of this kingdom, then I can't very well just leave and travel while they're dealing with what they're dealing with.
Unless your father was to make a proclamation that my daughter's going to go on a trip to unite every giant nation under our banner as one clan, reordinating us.
I mean, it's a good idea. I just don't think I'm no Marvelous when it comes to, swaying people.
Not with that attitude.
That's why we're a team, Princess Esme. We help each other when the other feels like they don't have that strength.
I'm not against this plan. I'm just okay. So that's one of the options. Another option is that we try to reason with the Titan, correct?
This is reasoning with the Titan, unless because we have better chance with the giants on our side.
Oh,
that's why I brought this up, was so that we'd get the giants to help us with the Titan, because they know the lullaby.
Yes, actually, that makes perfect sense.
I love you, Esme.
We'll talk to my father and see if he will send me on a diplomatic trip to unite the giant kingdoms, to reason with the Titan
World tour. That's
Here we go again.
Oh
It
man.
must be getting
Actually
late
good.
because this is starting to make a lot of sense.
It's making too much sense, right?
Is this the cutoff? Is this the cutoff for us?
For me, at this point of the day, I'm kind of like, don't ask me to make any decisions at this point.
What if we have them come to you?
Oh, bring them here like a summit.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. More balls. Charlie always likes that stuff.
Big fan. That might take like a coronation.
A real coronation.
And no
We
suitors.
could like a wedding.
No
whoa.
suitors. No weddings.
No, you already have a suitor. You're Rowan. You and Rowan could get married, and
Oh,
your
your
father could
royalty.
send out the
Royalty
invitations
marries-
to all the chiefs.
What's that, Charlie?
Well, royalty marries for political reasons all the time.
I think
That
a
doesn't mean
summit is
it's anything romantic.
Sleep on it, Mother Esme. We can either go on a very big adventure reuniting all the clans, or we can try to invite them all here for your marriage.
For my marriage. That Rowan doesn't even know about yet?
Coronation, marriage.
We haven't even discussed that topic, so I don't think me sending him a sending and saying, "Oh, Rowan, by the way, can you stop by so we can get married real quick? Because we're having a huge summit of all the giant kingdoms." I think it's going to throw him off a bit.
Well, there's always a funeral. The leaders would gather for a funeral.
But who died?
I'm just telling you why royalty gathers.
That's it? Just funerals and weddings? Just
Sometimes a baby.
a
You're
baby?
pregnant.
No.
Could we make you pregnant?
They also will gather in times of turmoil and war and upheaval.
That is correct. That's the one. Let's do that one.
Yes, but we don't want them to know that we are planning something against, because we already know there's spies around that are informing back to the League. So if we were to send a formal invitation that there's a war coming up, the League gets word, then they're going to know something's iffy. But a coronation or a ball or something that's not dealing with that allows us to have private chats with the people that show up.
Then let's just do that. Let's, if my father names me as heir, then that would be a reason for all of the kingdoms to gather here.
Then I believe you might have a talk with your parents that you have to do tomorrow.
Right. With preferably Marvelous.
Sure.
And the rest of us, of course. But mostly Marvelous.
Yeah, but can we at least sleep on it? Because I feel like I can sleep for 7 days.
Me too.
Guys, I've been up for 48 hours. I don't know what you're talking about.
Esme,
I can do this all day.
If your father names you heir, there might be a challenge. Would you be willing to go through that sort of process?
A trial by combat?
Or a duty to fulfill to show your worthiness?
I mean, if they let me name a champion, then I know just the person for the job.
There was talk when
Matt,
he gave you that
your
robe.
sound is out.
through multiple things. Like it's time to end the session.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
to make probably some decisions. I think Discord is a great place to put a lot of this. Like kind of give at least ideas and whatever, and to kind of cap it probably to come up with that plan when people are a little more awake, because it is at the end of the time. So those of you joining, a lot of reveals, a lot of craziness, and we will see what our heroes plan to do next week. At dawn we plan.
Everybody tune in for tomorrow. 1,000 session.
Yeah, it is 7th session tomorrow. Big deal, big fun. And we'll see y'all in this game next week. See you then.
Bye-bye and good night.
Bye.